Of late, many who know me want to know why I support Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Some are Mahathir supporters, others are critics. But they know me well enough to know that when Ragi Jesse Rit does something, it has to be for a reason. And those closest to me know that when I put my heart and soul towards a cause, only death can stop me. That's really what I am all about. In a sense, I'm crazy, I grant you that. But I don't just do anything blindly, as everything I do has to be for a reason. These guys I call friends want to know that reason, and many aren't Muslims. The funny thing is, despite all that has been said about many Muslims not supporting Mahathir, I find the reverse to be true in real life. And by real life, I mean life on the streets, life in supermarkets, life in coffee shops and so on, as opposed to the cybertrooper-infested world we call the social media. It seems that every 2 out of 3 Muslims I meet here in the Klang Valley want Mahathir to return. The third isn't exactly a critic, but usually questions his motives for wanting to return. But I'll leave that for another story. So here I am, telling you why I support Mahathir. There is a point to all this, and that point will become apparent towards the end of this article. I am going to digress from my usual Islamic approach and resort to a universal theme, as many who genuinely want to know are non-Muslims. By the time I'm through, you will understand why I do what I do and what my struggle is all about. So stick around, and here goes. Politics is a playground for those who are either power-crazed or money-hungry or both. It is as dirty and vicious as it is self-serving and self-defeating, and many, not all, who venture into it are crooks. In the long run, a dirty politician tends to get tangled in his own web of disquiet. He then enters into a deal with power-wielding brokers to stay afloat and out of prison. But that's me speaking in general terms. In reality, you have different levels of lust that defines a politician. On one end, you have the ideal politician who is sent down from heaven to guide mankind. This politician hates money and power and chooses to hold office only to do right by the people. On the other end, you have Satan himself. And I don't need to tell you what a devil of a politician he can be. Everyone else falls between. Even you and I, Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak, as I see it, is further down the scale, bordering at Hell's Gate. Then we have the late Tunku Abdul Rahman, Tun Hussein On, Tun Abdullah Haji Ahmed Badawi and Tun Abdul Razak. They too fit somewhere between, but it is not for me to decide which end they are closer to. Of this I am sure the Mahathir I know today is the best there is, and is most certainly not on this scale. How and why I changed my stance on him early on in 2019 is beyond the scope of this article, but that's my stand. The rest of us fit into the same twisted scale every other politician fits into, as do most bloggers, activists, online politicians, which I consider myself to be, and paid cyber troopers. It's a mudslinging fest every other day, and the winner is usually the dirtiest, filthiest and and percent asterisk and caret of them all. The point is, politics is a very, very dirty game. In Malaysia, it has reached a level so vile, its stench reeks beneath my very nostrils. Come to think of it, it brings a whole new meaning to the term gutter politics, as even the gutters in Malaysia now look more and more like channels that run holy water straight down from heaven. Every politician I know apart from Mahathir has an intrigue and would do anything to be in positions of power to serve that intrigue. Which is why, we will never have a government that truly understands the needs of the people, much less puts in place policies that properly cater to these needs. How can there be such a government? How can a bunch of self-serving individuals who would do anything to be in positions of power build governments of virtue? How can you expect Satan to build a mosque or church when his sole purpose is to deceive mankind? How can you expect the mole to build the pyramids of Giza when the molehill can't even withstand the might of a falling twig? How? This is what you call the scheme of things. Tan Sri Muhyiddin was right to say that the act of dishing out positions to members of parliament in return for their support is the scheme of things. At least, that is what I think he said. And that makes him one hell of a politician, if your definition of a great politician is Satan on steroids. Yes, Muhyiddin, like Mahathir, is on a scale of his own. But Muhyiddin's is sordid, while Mahathir's is exquisite. The better end of Mahathir's scale reads genius, and on it sits this 95-year-old maverick. People like him are hard to come by, but at some point, when things go bump or get too messed up, they tend to show up. And that brings me to my point. Mahathir may not be an angel from Harlem, but he is the best there is. It is not every other day that a sane, 95-year-old statesman shows up at your doorstep with the acumen, wisdom and desire to save the day. If at all, and I mean if there ever was lust for power in him, it is no longer there. Of this, I assure you. Being 95, his final quest is sincere and has the markings of virtue. He wants change, and I think I know what that change is. I don't think I am qualified enough to discuss that change, but if there ever is a way we can hope to get as close as possible to a system of virtue, this is it. It is now or never, as this 95-year-old genius has absolutely nothing to gain other than to right what went wrong. I am not just optimistic, but absolutely sure that,